Did you know that November was officially coined Hip Hop History Month? On July 29, 2021, Congress and the U.S. Senate appointed August 11th as Hip Hop Celebration Day, the month of August as Hip Hop Recognition Month, and the month of November as Hip Hop History Month. What better way to help celebrate something that we all share in common than to dig deep into the roots of hip hop and how it became the top music genre in the United States today? We decided to take a trip to the birthplace of hip hop, where it all began, New York. Let's talk about the history of hip hop. Hip hop history begins in the early 1970s. Disco was beginning to slowly die out, and the elements of hip hop were starting to enter the scene. Much like what we've seen in other cities across America around this time, New York City experienced gentrification while the economy faced challenges. As a result of this, the white middle class would move to the suburbs, while marginalized groups would be forced to endure changes in the neighborhood with poor conditions. Some of these conditions include poverty, gang violence, an increase in crime rates, and the political war on drugs. All things considered, it's important to note a group of individuals who turn these negative moments into something positive: the youth. Artistic expression and creativity were just some of the many ways that the youth were responding to the poor conditions that they were experiencing. We saw this through wall art and graffiti, dancing, music, parties, and other forms of creative expression that would eventually lead to the early culture of hip-hop.
I started way back in the 70s as a young teenage DJ, before hip-hop was even called hip-hop. Eventually I became my own professional DJ for a club called the Stardust Ballroom in 1976. And during that time, disco was king. But the kids, in the hood didn't like disco music, so we would play Funkadelic, Kool and the Gang, Mandrill, the J. Giles Band. We played all kind of different records that were obscure, and some were not even being played on the radio. But we went and sampled everything. We took a little bit of rock and roll, we took break beats. So I witnessed hip hop emerging from the streets to what it has become today.
On August 11th, 1973, DJ Kool Herc, a young Jamaican immigrant, and his sister threw a back-to-school jam block party on 1520 Cedric Avenue in the rec room of their apartment complex. This party is recognized as the launching day of hip-hop's movement. After seeing DJ Kool Herc perform at block parties, he inspired other young local DJs such as Grandmaster Flash and African Bambaataa to DJ parties all over the Bronx. These parties led to where DJ Lovebug Starsky would start referring to this cultural movement as hip-hop. At this time, the focus on hip-hop was on the DJs and their style of music. In 1975, DJ Grand Wizard Theodore invented the record scratch, which is an iconic sound that is familiar in hip-hop music today. By 1978, the music industry started to slowly shift focus from DJs to MCs, bringing artist lyricism to the forefront. And it was around this time that Grandmaster Flash formed his group, Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five. Another rising hip-hop group made their claim to fame the following year in 1979, Sugar Hill Gang, whose single Rapper's Delight was the first rap song to hit the Billboard Hot 100 list and eventually made it to the top 40. By 1980, hip-hop's movement spread across the US and internationally. So far, we've gone over the inception of hip-hop. Tune in to our next mini-episode where we cover the golden era of hip-hop and deep dive how these humble beginnings developed and evolved to what we know as hip-hop today. We'll see y'all next week.